Hi, so in this video, what I'm going to do is show you how to kind of create a really basic spreadsheet. But what I want to focus on first is just understanding how do you get the stock data? How do you use the Google Finance formula that exists inside of Google Spreadsheets? How can you use that to be able to look at stocks, ETFs, crypto? How can you look at real-time data? How can you get historical data? How can you make it daily? And how can you make it weekly? It's kind of a lot to get into, but once you start to look at the syntax, I think you'll realize how easy and simple this is. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a new spreadsheet here, just because I want to show you how easy it is to do from the very beginning. The thing that I like to do, and I've mentioned this, is just I like to put the ticker in A2. It makes it much easier when you're thinking about being able to change this over time. Now, if you go ahead and type in Google Finance here, what you're going to get is essentially the entire breakdown of how this formula works. And if you want something that's much more in depth, what I want you to look at here is expand the details. It will give you a good example. So it shows you exactly what type of attributes you're going to need to get this formula to work. The first thing that you're going to need is the ticker. So for me, since I'm using A2, I'm just going to type in A2 there. And then in the attribute, one of the things I like to also highlight is that you can go by the individual attributes, right? Like you can see if we get price here. If I go ahead and learn more, it's going to pop open on the side here. And this is something I encourage you, if this is confusing to you at all, is to just use the help function to just look as much as you can. There's going to be articles online that are very helpful too, but they pretty much just copy this help right here. I always encourage people, if you're thinking about the attribute, and you want to build a spreadsheet, it doesn't make sense to just pull the price. Like if I just pull price right now, and I actually don't even think that'll work. Oh, it does. Perfect. If I just do the price, that just gives me the price for the most recent price, right? That doesn't give me anything. I want historical. I want to see the volume, the high, the low, the close. But if I change this, right? If I change this to like we have here, if I get volume, now I have the volume. That's not obviously a obviously that's not a number that way, but if I just go individually by attribute, it's actually going to be kind of difficult. And I've made this mistake in previous spreadsheets where I've ended up having individual. So what I'd end up doing is something like this. It'll be like, okay, I'm going to do price here, and then I'm going to copy this. I'm going to do this. And what I end up doing is like high, low, volume, every single time that I need to make an adjustment. So like if I change this, sure, this will update, right? It's going to give me information that I need. But if I really want to make sure that I have the high, low, the volume, these kinds of things, but I want it to be more simple, instead of worrying about this, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change this to all. So if I change it to all, because I don't have any historical stuff, because I don't have any time frame, it's not going to be able to tell me exactly what it is that I'm looking for. But if I do for a start date, if I use another formula that exists inside of Google Spreadsheets, which is the today formula, and I just do that, but then I make sure and I say, okay, but I want 7 days, so it's going to be a week worth of data. So that's the start date. And then I need the end date, which could be, I could just do today. So it will go, let's see if this works. So now what we have here is we have all of the historical stock data for Facebook, because that's what we have here in A2. But if I wanted to even make this more relevant, right? Let's say I wanted to get, let's say I'm like, oh, I want to look at much more information. I want to look at a full month. All I do is do that, and now I have a full month of stock data that exists from Facebook. And again, anytime that I want to change it, I can just update it and go boom. And now it's going to pull in the data, right? This is the power of Google Spreadsheets and Google Finance if you understand how to be able to get the simple data that exists. And again, if you're really curious about it, you can always go ahead and pull up the help. You can get a lot of information, the data delay, the time trade, the volume average, PE, EPS. There are even other aspects. If you start to go into the Google Finance formula, what you can do, and this is where it talks about doing all, what you can do is you can even get mutual data. mutual fund data, which is super cool. If you're looking at managing your 401k, or if you've got larger investments and things like that that would exist in more of a restricted fund where you only have access to mutual funds, at least you can get some sort of access to look at this if you want. What I do like to see as well is getting an idea of like, how would you look at crypto? Because I know this is always going to be a really big question for a lot of folks, is how do I look at crypto? The things that I have found, so this is the only way that I've been able to find to be able to look at crypto, is if you specifically are going to type in for Bitcoin, BTC USD, or Ethereum. I don't know if there's an updated list of all of the different tickers that are available inside of Google Finance in terms of the actual protocol. I do notice that it doesn't give you any of the open, high, low, close, or volume information. Isn't super great, but does at least give you some information that you might be looking for as you start to think about kind of like, what kind of data do I want to look at? And now once you know that you can get access to a little bit of crypto, it really does open up a little bit of the aspect of like what you might want to be looking at. So like if I look at the problem is that there's going to be cryptos that pop up so quickly that you're just not going to be able to find them because they're not going to be updated probably in Google Finance. And I don't even know where that list would come from. If anybody has any idea, please let me know. But I do think that once you get an idea of how to be able to import the data, you get an idea of what you're looking at, you get an idea of how to be able to do intervals, it becomes really, really powerful for you. So now that we've kind of walked through how do you get access to Google Finance, what does it offer in terms of when you're looking at the help here? How does it work for stocks? How does it work for ETFs? If you're looking for an ETF, it works the exact same way. You just type it in, same as you would do with anything else, and the data will just start to appear for you. So you're going to really start to see the power of how quickly you can get some of this data, as well as how quickly you can, at a glance, build some additional tools. I do want to show you exactly how you could go about doing weekly. So right now we are on just whatever is an A2, we're getting all the data. We're going from today minus 20 days, and then we're ending it today. I didn't fill in the final attribute, which is the interval. So you see how we have here, I could have done daily here, and that would have also done it. It just automatically does daily. So if I do daily, it's not going to do anything right now because it already exists. But that's a good sign if you are ever building something that it doesn't break when you change something. That is huge. Step one to building good little applications for yourself. But if I wanted to change this to see a little bit more into history, I would do weekly. Now this is going to give me, again, because of the way that I did it, it's only 20 days, right? It's only 20 days. So 20 days over weeks is only going to be 3 weeks. But what it does give you the open, high, low, close, and volume for that entire week. So this is a really good way if you want to build something where you're using like maybe a weekly spreadsheet with a daily spreadsheet and having them interact with each other. It makes it much easier to get a really good historical context of what has been going on, especially if you think about, let's say I wanted to add 100 here, right? Make it 5 times larger. This gives you a really good historical context of kind of like, okay, so what's been going on, right? If I'm just looking at something, I can use something that I know has dropped quite a bit. Right, so like the 8th of October 2021, it was $272. It is now the 14th of January 2022, and it is $231. Just getting that kind of viewpoint will allow you to have a much better understanding. And it's difficult when you're looking at charts to really get a grasp around some of these numbers because it's so visual. But once you get the actual data, you can start to do some of your own personal indicators on top of it too. And I'll be making other videos that kind of go along with what you would need to do to be able to get a better understanding of what is going on inside of the market. But this is how you're going to build a really simple, really basic way of getting historical data. I know people look for this. I've gone through processes of downloading data. Don't do that. Just go to Google, create a spreadsheet. If you don't have an account, create a free account, create a spreadsheet, use the Google Finance formula here, type in the information, get a little perspective on what you're looking for. And then very easily, you can start to build and start to understand the type of data that you're going to have access to at all times, right? The ability to just pull in data this quickly and be able to manipulate it if you need to, it's really unprecedented in terms of you think about the amount of applications people are paying for, as well as the places that you can't really get a lot of really good, accurate information all the time for free. So hopefully what this video does is gives you just a really good indication of what power you have by using a Google spreadsheet, how you can use it to update and look for stocks, ETFs, crypto, you can get real-time data, how you can get historical data, and how you can look at it on the daily versus the weekly. If you have any questions, always feel free to go ahead and follow me over at Bootleg Macro. Have a great day.